Music Fundamentals, Week 6, Key Signatures. This is Richard Freemantle. As we have seen, the major scale beginning on G requires one sharp, F sharp, in order for the interval distribution to work out. Thus, the scale beginning on G and containing an F sharp is said to be in the key of G. G is the keynote or tonic note and always appears as the first degree of the scale. This is the meaning of key of a piece, including the scale that supports it. See how these things are interconnected. You have to know one thing before you can know the next thing. So this, of course, is very cumulative. You have to know your intervals, you have to know your scales, then you can know your keys, then you can know your key signatures, then you can know your functions. There's many, many things that grow from this root. So make sure you've got the idea of scale. From that comes the idea of key. The keynote of the scale is the keynote of the key. A performer who is not totally familiar with the scale of the key of a piece she is playing is operating at a tremendous disadvantage. Internalizing the scales associated with all the possible keys, 12 major and 12 minor, is necessary in order to read the piece with any fluency. Reading a piece without knowing the primary scale would be like trying to communicate with a Chinese dictionary one word at a time, or communicating with somebody with a vocabulary of 6 or 7 words. To a musician, a scale is not 7 individual notes. It is a single, integrated conceptual identity. From this chain of concepts, you get a fixed unity, which becomes an icon in your memory and serves you to see into the deeper structure of the piece you're playing. Because it is assumed that musicians know their scales, composers long ago invented a way to abbreviate the notation of accidentals. This convention is called the key signature. If we're in the key of G, we assume that all or most of the Fs will be sharp. So rather than write a sharp sign in front of every F that occurs in the piece, we simply place a sharp in the left-hand margin of the staff on the top line, which is the F line. And this sharp tells us that whenever we encounter the pitch class F, it is F sharp. Not only the F on the top line of the staff, but every single F in the piece, no matter where it occurs. Every key has a different key signature because every major scale has a different number of required accidentals. The key of C has no sharps or flats because of that half step between E and F and B and C that's embedded in the structure of the staff and the piano keyboard. The accidentals in a key signature appear in a consistent pattern. Thus, the sharps in sharp keys always appear on the staff in the following order. You got to memorize this order. The flats always appear in this order. You got to memorize this. Notice the pattern of accidental arrangement on the staff. In sharp keys, the sharps begin on F, then go down a fourth, up a fifth. F sharp, down a fourth to C sharp. C sharp, up a fifth to G sharp. G sharp, down a fourth to D sharp. Then we get tricky because up a fifth from D sharp would be A sharp, but there isn't any A sharp on the above that, so it has to write the A sharp down an octave lower. It gets sort of tricky from there. But if you go down from that imaginary A sharp a fourth to E sharp, there's your 6th accidental. Now the trick to figuring out a sharp key signature is this. The keynote is always a half step higher than the last sharp. You may notice, just for fun, that there's a kind of a yin-yang thing going on in music theory between the sharp keys and the flat keys. There are many opposites. The arrangement of the accidentals on the staff is one of them. In the sharp keys, you start with F sharp, go down a fourth, up a fifth. On the flat keys, you start with B flat, go up a fourth, down a fifth. See the opposite direction. However, it's easier to tell what key something is in the flat keys because the key of the piece is always the next to last flat.